This conference will now be recorded.
Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to you all, my dear students. Hope you all are fine and everyone is studying well. Today I will discuss the dissection part of the superior extremity. At first, if we dissect the pectoral region, the skin incision done first, a longitudinal incision from jugular notch to the xiphoid process in the mid-sagittal plane. A transverse incision along the clavicle from jugular notch to the tip of the acromion process of scapula. Another incision from xiphoid process extend upwards laterally on the areolar margin, encircle the areola, and continue the line of incision downwards. Along the medial border of the upper arm, at the junction of upper 1/3 and lower 2/3. Then skin reflects laterally, then superficial fascia, deep fascia or pectoral fascia and muscles of the pectoral region. Pectoral fascia. It is a thin membranous covering which covers the pectoralis major muscle. This is the pectoralis major, and the fascia covered the pectoralis major. This is the pectoral fascia. Attachment. The pectoral fascia above attached to the clavicle, medially to the front of the sternum, and laterally it is continuous with the fascia that covers the deltoid muscle. This is the deltoid muscle, and fascia covering the deltoid is the deltoid fascia. Below with that covering the abdominal muscles at the lower border of the pectoralis major, it is continuous with the axillary fascia in the axilla. Clavipectoral fascia. It is a strong fascia that occupy the interval between the clavicle above and the pectoralis minor below. Distribution above it split into two lamella attached to the margin of the subclavian groove in the inferior surface of the clavicle. The posterior layer fused above with the deep cervical fascia. Below it split to enclose the pectoralis minor, and at the lower border of the muscle, two layers are reunited to form a single layer which is continuous with axillary fascia. Medially, it is attached to the first costal cartilage. This is the first rib attached with the first costal cartilage and blend with the fascia covering the first two intercostal spaces. Laterally, it is attached to the coracoid process of the scapula and blending with the coracoclavicular ligament. This is the coracoclavicular ligament. It is covered anteriorly with the clavicular part of the pectoralis major. Structure pairs by the clavipectoral fascia are lateral pectoral nerve, thoracoacromial artery, cephalic vein, lymph nodes from pectoral region to apical group of axillary lymph nodes. What are the muscle present in the pectoral region? There are three muscles: pectoralis major, pectoralis minor, and subclavius. Pectoralis major. It has two parts, clavicular part and sternal part. Clavicular head originated from anterior surface of medial half of the clavicle, and sternal part arise from the anterior surface of the manubrium sterni, body of the sternum, superior 6 costal cartilages. Insertion. It is inserted on the lateral lip of the intertubercular groove of the humerus. Action. Abducts and medially rotates humerus, draws scapula anteriorly, innervated by lateral and medial pectoral nerve. Then pectoralis minor. Pectoralis minor originated from third to fifth ribs near their costal cartilages. Insertion. It is inserted medial border of the coracoid process of the scapula. Action. Stabilizes scapula by drawing it inferiorly and anteriorly against thoracic wall. Innervation. It is innervated by medial pectoral nerves. Then subclavius muscle. It is originated the upper surface of the first costal cartilage. This is the subclavius muscle and it originated from the upper surface of the first costal cartilage, inserted middle third of the inferior surface of the clavicle. Nerve supply. The subclavius is supplied by the nerve to subclavius, which is arise from the upper trunk of the brachial plexus. Action: it depresses the clavicle. It steadies the clavicle during movement of shoulder girdle. Then mammary gland. The breast or mammary gland, it is a modified sweat gland, lies in the superficial fascia of the pectoral region. Extension: it vertically extends from second to sixth rib in the mid-clavicular line. Horizontally, it extends from lateral border of the sternum to the mid-axillary line. Mammary bed. The base of the gland rests upon the following structures. The breast lies on the deep fascia, pectoral fascia covering the pectoralis major. Deeper there are three muscles, pectoralis major, then external oblique abdominis and serratus anterior. The breast is separated from the pectoral fascia by loose areolar tissue called retromammary space. Because of the presence of this loose tissue, the normal breast can move freely over the pectoralis major. Structures of the breast. The structures of the breast consist of the skin, the parenchyma, and the stroma. The skin, it covers the glands and present following features. Nipple. It is a conical projection below the center of the breast at the level of the fourth intercostal space in nulliparous female. Nulliparous means a woman who has never given birth. The nipple is pierced by 15 to 20 lactiferous duct. These are the lactiferous duct and it contains smooth muscle. Areola. It is a pigmented circular area of skin around the base of the nipple. It becomes darker during pregnancy and lactation. It contains modified sebaceous glands which are enlarged during pregnancy and lactation and are known as tubercle of Montgomery. Beneath the areola, each lactiferous duct is dilated to form the lactiferous sinus before passing through the nipple. Parenchyma of breast made up of glandular tissue which secretes milk. The gland consists of 15 to 20 lobes. Each lobe contains clusters of alveoli and is drained by lactiferous duct. The lactiferous duct converts towards the areola where each duct dilates to form the lactiferous sinus. It acts as a reservoir of milk. Finally, the duct opens on the nipple. Alveolar epithelium is cuboidal in resting stage and columnar during lactation. In distended alveoli, the cells may appear cuboidal due to stressing, but they are much larger than those in resting phase. The terminal parts of lactiferous duct are lined by keratinized stratified squamous epithelium. The passage of milk from the alveoli into and along the duct is facilitated by contraction of myoepithelial cells present around the alveoli and around the duct, lying between the epithelium and the basement membrane. This is the histological section of the mammary gland. These are the alveoli and this is the loose stroma. Stroma forms the supporting framework of the gland. It is partly fibrous and partly fatty. The fibrous stroma forms septa, known as suspensor ligaments of copper, which anchor the skin and gland to the pectoral fascia. The fatty stroma forms the main bulk of the gland. It is distributed all over the breast except beneath the areola and the nipple. Blood supply of the breast. The mammary gland extremely vascular. It is supplied by branches of following arteries. The internal thoracic artery, which is branch of the subclavian artery, the lateral thoracic artery, superior thoracic artery, and acromiothoracic artery, which are branch of the axillary artery. Lateral branches of the posterior intercostal artery. Venous drainage of the breast. The superficial vein drain into the internal thoracic vein and the deep vein drain into the internal thoracic, axillary and posterior intercostal vein. Lymphatic drainage. The lymphatics of mammary gland are two sets. Those draining the parenchyma of the breast, including the areola and nipple. Those draining the overlying skin, except areola and nipple. From the parenchyma, the lymph vessel form plexus in the interlobular connective tissue and walls of the lactiferous duct. These join with the subareolar plexus of Sheaffe, which collects the lymph from the areola and nipple. About 75% of lymphatics from the gland drain into the axillary lymph node and 20% drain into the parasternal node. About 5% lymphatics from the lateral and posterior part of the gland drain into the posterior intercostal node. From the overlying skin, the outer part drain into the axillary node, and from the upper part, supraclavicular node group of the lower deep cervical node that drain the apical group of the axillary node. From the inner part, the parasternal node. From the lower part, the lymphatics communicate with those of the rectus sheath and form a subperitoneal plexus, then drain into the subdiaphragmatic nodes, and some pass through the falciform ligament to reach the hepatic node. The lymphatic drainage is most important because the cancer cells spread mostly along the lymphatics to the regional lymph node. This is the important question for your written exam. Describe the lymphatic drainage of the breast. Clinical anatomy of breast. Infiltration of cancer cell along the suspensory ligaments of Cooper and subsequent fibrosis make retraction of the overlying skin and fixation of the tumor to the underlying pectoral fascia. Extension of the growth along the lactiferous duct and subsequent fibrosis leads to retraction of the nipple. Pseudo-orange. Obstruction of superficial lymph vessels by cancer cell may produce edema of the skin, giving rise to an appearance like that of the skin of an orange. This is the pseudo-orange. The skin likes the skin of an orange. Venous drainage of upper limb. Another important question for your written exam. The cephalic vein, it is formed by the union of the veins on the radial side of the dorsal venous network. It passes upwards across the roof of the anatomical snub box to the lower part of the back of the forearm. Then it runs round the radial border of the forearm to its anterior surface and ascends to the front of the elbow joint. Where it connects with the medial cubital vein to the basilic vein. Thus, greater amount of blood in the cephalic vein is transmitted to the basilic vein by this median cubital vein. Then it crosses the superficial fascia. Then it crosses superficial to the lateral antebrachial cutaneous nerve and ascend along the lateral border of the biceps brachii to the lower border of the pectoralis major, where it pierces the deep fascia. Then runs upwards in the group between the pectoralis major and deltoid muscle, which is called deltopectoral group, and accompanied by the deltoid branch of the acromiothoracic artery to reach the infraclavicular fossa. It then passes under cover the clavicular head of the pectoralis major and pierces the clavipectoral fascia. Termination. The cephalic vein ends in the axillary vein just below the clavicle. Tributaries of cephalic vein are accessory cephalic vein corresponding to the branches of the acromiothoracic artery, basilic vein. It begins from the ulnar side of the dorsal venous network, ascends along the medial side of the forearm in front of the medial epicondyle. It is connected with the cephalic vein by the median cubital vein. Then it passes upwards along the medial border of the biceps and pierces the deep fascia at the middle of the arm, where the vein passes from superficial to deep. Then runs along the medial side of the brachial artery up to the lower border of the teres major, where it becomes the axillary vein. Median cubital vein. This is the median cubital vein, which connects cephalic vein to the basilic vein. It is an anastomosing channel in front of the elbow, which connects the cephalic vein with the basilic vein obliquely from below upwards and medially in front of the bicipital aponeurosis. Clinical importance. Median cubital vein is usually selected for withdrawal of blood, intravenous injection, blood transfusion, and cardiac catheterization because it is fixed and does not slip away during piercing. It is another important written question. It may come as a short note. Write down the short note medial cubital vein with its importance. The axilla. The axilla or armpit is a pyramidal shaped space between the upper part of the arm and the lateral chest wall. It has apex, base, anterior wall, posterior wall, medial wall, and lateral wall. Boundaries of the axilla is apex. It is also known as cervicoaxillary canal. This is the apex of the axilla. It is known as cervicoaxillary canal. It is a triangular in shape. It is bounded anteriorly by the clavicle. This is clavicle, and posteriorly by the superior border of the scapula. This is the superior border of scapula, and medially by the outer border of the first rib. Structure passing through the apex of the axilla are axillary vessels, cord of the brachial plexus, and long thoracic nerve. Base. It is bounded in front by the anterior axillary fold and behind by the posterior axillary fold, medially by the chest wall. The anterior axillary fold is formed by the lower border of pectoralis major. Posterior axillary fold is formed by the latissimus dorsi in the medial part and teres major in the lateral part. The anterior wall is formed by the pectoralis major, pectoralis minor, subclavius, and clavipectoral fascia. Posterior wall, it is formed from above downwards by subscapularis, teres major, latissimus dorsi. Medial wall. It is formed by the upper 4 or 5 ribs and their intercostal muscles, upper part of serratus anterior muscle, long thoracic nerve passes downwards along this wall. Lateral wall. It is formed by the intertubercular sulcus of humerus, which contain long tendon of biceps brachii, coracobrachialis, and short head of biceps. Contents of axilla are: it contains axillary artery and its branches, axillary vein and its tributaries, cords of brachial plexus, axillary lymph node, axillary fat. It also an important question for your written exam. You have to draw the figure, boundary, and contents of the axilla. Axillary artery. It begins as a continuation of the third part of the subclavian artery at the outer border of the first rib and the ends at the lower border of the teres major muscle, where it continues as brachial artery. The pectoralis minor muscle crosses in front of the artery and divides the artery into three parts: first part, second part, and third parts. Branches of the artery are from the first part the artery arise superior thoracic artery, second part thoracoacromial and lateral thoracic artery, third part subscapular, anterior and posterior circumflex humeral artery. Brachial plexus. This is most important question. Brachial plexus, it is formed by the ventral rami of lower four cervical nerves and the first thoracic nerve. It consists of root, trunk, division and cords. Roots are 5 in number from cervical 5 to thoracic 1. Sometimes cervical 4 root join with the cervical 5. The plexus is called prefix type. Occasionally, thoracic 2 root join with the thoracic 1 with disappearance of cervical 4 root. This is called postfix type of the plexus. In your written exam, the question may arise what is prefixed and postfixed type of the brachial plexus. You have to write the definition of the prefixed and postfixed type of brachial plexus. Trunks. These are three: upper, middle and lower trunk. When cervical 5 root join with the cervical 6 unite to form the upper trunk, and cervical 8 root join with the thoracic 1 form the lower trunk, and cervical 7 root continue as the middle trunk of the brachial plexus. Before entering the axilla, three trunks splits into anterior and posterior division. Anterior division of upper trunk. These are the anterior division and this is the posterior division. Anterior division of upper trunk and middle trunk unite to form the lateral cord. Anterior division of the lower trunk continue as the medial cord, and posterior division of all trunk resemble as the posterior cord of the brachial plexus. So this is the lateral cord, this is medial cord and this is the posterior cord. The anterior division of the upper and middle trunk unite to form the lateral cord, and anterior division of the lower trunk form the medial cord, and posterior division of the three trunk unite to form the posterior cord of the brachial plexus. Brachial plexus has roots, trunk, division and cord. Root, there are 5 in number, cervical 5 to thoracic 1. Then trunk are divided into upper, middle and lower trunk. When cervical 5 root join with the cervical 6, it forms the upper trunk, and when cervical 8 root join with the thoracic 1, it forms the lower trunk. Cervical 7 continue as the middle trunk. There are two divisions, anterior division and posterior division. The anterior division of the upper trunk join with the middle trunk from the lateral cord, and anterior division of the lower trunk from the medial cord. The posterior division of the upper, middle and lower trunk join to form the posterior cord. There are three cords of the brachial plexus: lateral cord, medial cord and posterior cord. The nerve arise from the lateral cord of brachial plexus are dorsal scapular nerve, suprascapular nerve, nerve to subclavius, lateral pectoral nerve, musculocutaneous nerve, and lateral division of the median nerve. The important nerve arise from the posterior cord of brachial plexus are axillary nerve, radial nerve, upper and lower subscapular nerve, nerve to latissimus dorsi. The nerve arise from the medial cord of the brachial plexus are medial division of the median nerve, medial cutaneous nerve of forearm, medial cutaneous nerve of arm, ulnar nerve, medial pectoral nerve, and nerve arise from the roots of the brachial plexus are long thoracic nerve. These are the important nerve which may arise from the brachial plexus. You must know the name of the nerve which are arise from the three cords of the brachial plexus. In your written exam, this is important question. Draw and label the brachial plexus. Clinical anatomy. ARP paralysis. The region of the upper trunk of brachial plexus is called ARP point. Injury to the upper trunk of brachial plexus is called ARP paralysis. The muscles are paralyzed: biceps, deltoid, brachialis, and brachioradialis. Deformity occur. Arm hangs by the side. It is adducted and medially rotated. Forearm extended and pronated. This is called arm paralysis. The arm. Arm extend from shoulder joint to the elbow joint. Skin incision done. A transverse incision across the front and medial aspect of the arm, about 2.5 inch below the tip of the acromion process of scapula. Another transverse incision in front of the elbow joining the two epicondyle. Then a longitudinal incision is done, joining the midpoint of the two incisions. The skin reflects laterally. Arm divided into two compartments, anterior compartment and posterior compartments. Anterior compartment, the muscle present in anterior compartment are brachialis, biceps brachii, and coracobrachialis. The brachialis muscle originated from the lower part of the anteromedial and anterolateral surface of the humerus, and it is inserted into the ulnar tuberosity. The brachialis is innervated by musculocutaneous nerve. All three muscles of the anterior compartment are supplied by musculocutaneous nerve, which is arise from the lateral cord of the brachial plexus. Anterior compartment, also called the flexor compartment, so brachialis causes flexion of the elbow joint. Another muscle is the bicep brachii. It has two heads, short head and long head. Short head arises from the tip of the coracoid process of scapula, and long head from the supraglenoid tubercle of the scapula. Bicep brachii inserted on the radial tuberosity, and it is supplied by musculocutaneous nerve, though it is a muscles of the anterior compartment of the arm, and it causes supination of the forearm. It is a powerful supinator of the forearm. Though it is a muscle of the flexor compartment, at first it causes supination of the forearm, then it causes flexion of the elbow joint. Another muscle is the coracobrachialis. Coracobrachialis arises from the coracoid process of the scapula, and it inserted on the medial part of the medial border of the humerus. It is also supplied by musculocutaneous nerve. Posterior compartment. Posterior compartment contain only one muscle, the triceps brachii. It has three heads: long head, medial, and lateral head. Long head arises from the long head of triceps arises from the infraglenoid tubercle of the scapula, and lateral head arises from the upper part of the posterior surface of the humerus. Medial part arises from the lower part of the posterior surface of the humerus, and triceps brachii inserted on the posterior part of the head of olecranon process of the ulna, superior surface of olecranon process, posterior part of the ulna. It is muscles of the posterior compartment or extensor compartment, so it is supplied by the radial nerve. The triceps brachii is supplied by the radial nerve. Radial nerve comes from the posterior cord of brachial plexus. The triceps brachii is the muscles of the extensor compartment, so it causes extension of the elbow joint. Cubital fossa. It is a triangular space in front of elbow. The cubital fossa, it is a triangular space in front of the elbow. Boundary of cubital fossa is medially, it is bounded by lateral border of the pronator teres. This is the pronator teres muscle, and medial boundary is formed by the medial lateral border of the pronator teres. Laterally, the medial border of the brachioradialis. The apex is formed meeting point of these two muscles, and base there are imaginary line passing from two epicondyle of the humerus. This triangular space in front of the elbow is called cubital fossa. The laterally it is bounded by medial border of the brachioradialis, and medially it is bounded by lateral border of the pronator teres. Apex is formed by meeting point of these two muscles, and base is formed by an imaginary line passing from two epicondyle of the humerus. This is a triangular space. Contents of the cubital fossa: from medial to lateral, median nerve, brachial artery. This is the median nerve, brachial artery with its two terminal branches, the ulnar artery and the radial artery. The tendon of the biceps and the radial nerve. These are the content of the cubital fossa. This is most important question for your written exam. You have to draw and label the boundary and contents of the cubital fossa. The forearm. Skin incision. A transverse incision at the junction of the upper one-third of the forearm. Another transverse incision in front of the wrist. The level of the inferior surface of the head of the ulna. A longitudinal incision is done joining the midpoint of the two transverse incision. Then skin reflect laterally. The forearm is divided into two compartments, anterior or flexor compartment and posterior or extensor compartment. Anterior compartment, the muscles of anterior compartment are divided into superficial and deep group. The superficial muscles are pronator teres, flexor carpi radialis, palmaris longus, which have long tendon, flexor carpi ulnaris muscle, and flexor digitorum superficialis muscle. These are the superficial muscles of the forearm. I repeat, the pronator teres, flexor carpi radialis muscle, palmaris longus which have long tendon, flexor carpi ulnaris, flexor digitorum superficialis. The tendon divided into many digit. This is the flexor digitorum superficialis. The deep muscles of the forearm are flexor pollicis longus. This is the flexor pollicis longus. The tendon passes towards the thumb. The flexor digitorum profundus, which lies under the flexor digitorum superficialis. There are tendon divided into four digits. This is the flexor digitorum profundus. and the pronator quadratus. This is the pronator quadratus. Posterior compartment or extensor compartment. Superficial muscles are brachioradialis, extensor carpi radialis, extensor carpi ulnaris, extensor digitorum, extensor digiti minimi, and extensor carpi radialis brevis. I repeat again, the superficial muscles of the posterior compartment of forearm are, it is also called extensor compartment, the brachioradialis, extensor carpi radialis longus, extensor carpi ulnaris, extensor carpi radialis brevis, extensor digitorum, abductor pollicis, extensor digiti minimi. These are the superficial muscles of the extensor compartment of forearm. Deep muscles. The deep muscles on the posterior compartment of the forearm are supinator, extensor pollicis longus, extensor pollicis brevis, extensor abductor pollicis longus, and extensor indicis. The deep muscles of the forearm on the posterior compartment are supinator, extensor pollicis longus, extensor pollicis brevis, extensor indicis, and abductor pollicis longus. These are the deep muscles of the posterior compartment of forearm. Anatomical snub box. It is a triangular depression on the radial side of the wrist and becomes visible when the thumb is fully extended. Boundary is laterally tendon of the abductor pollicis longus and extensor pollicis brevis. Medially the tendon of extensor pollicis longus. Roof it is formed by skin and superficial fascia. Floor is formed by styloid process of radius, scaphoid, trapezium, and base of the first metacarpal bone. These are the boundary of the anatomical snub box. It may come in your written exam as a short note. Anatomical snub box contain the radial artery.